Welcome, I'm Ralph Walker, your host for US Tzu Chi 360 Snapshot. Did you know that San Diego is a city that hosts more than 31 million visitors each year, and for good reason? There are activities for people with any interest or background in life, such as wildlife parks, museums, and beaches. What people may not realize is how green many of these activities really are. Let's go on an eco-friendly tour through San Diego. Come on and join me. Our first stop will be for a cup of organic coffee and learn about those green ideas.
I recommend that you go to Mission Bay Aquatic Park.
Balboa Park.
La Jolla Cove. North Park.
Ecosystems that are just so close together and so diverse that you don't see it anywhere else.
For people who come and visit San Diego, I definitely recommend visiting Petco Park right behind me during the baseball season. And, of course, visit Ecoverse and Jingsi Books and Cafe.
If you head into Ecoverse, the rich aroma of coffee waves towards you. But when you take a closer look, the store has a very unique decoration. You don't see products in the window display, but trash that has been sorted. The digital posters talk about the global crises, and different eco-friendly lifestyles are mentioned everywhere in the store. You start to realize that this is an organic coffee shop that combines environmental protection and humanistic culture.
And just all these hands represent the different people that raise our earth, just having a good, sustainable lifestyle also at the same time. We have magazines, just shredded magazines from old junk mail. We cover it with recyclable.
Here, you can find high-quality green products that can be recycled again and again. It aims to distinguish from the downcycled products, which can only be recycled once and will end up in landfills anyway.
For the raw materials, they recycle number 5 plastic and made it into a product. The entire manufacturing process is eco-friendly. After the consumer uses the product, the waste will be collected with containers set up all around Whole Food stores to be recycled and reused.
Ecoverse is located in the first green urban planned community in the U.S., surrounded by light rails and bicycle paths.
Talk about education and the environment. I call it ecoversity. Tzu Chi was defined to me today as Buddhism in action. So we want to be, we want to have those principles and put them into action in the city. I'll be the first Buddhist in action mayor. So.
We want to be a completely sustainable, what they call zero net energy user. We want to be the first major city that does that. And to do that, you have to change not only policies, but the way people look at the world.
The mayor calls Ecoverse Ecoversity because it offers diverse eco-workshops.
They could give us some advice for how to make compost or do organic gardening in a really small space, in an urban space.
It's a coffee shop, plus, it sponsors environmental things. So I think that all around, that's people who like coffee will also get an education about, important things.
Good job.
Even at night, the efforts for conserving Earth never rest. Ecoverse assisted the city government to redesign and evaluate 4,700 street lighting in the downtown area to make the night sky a beautiful attraction as well.
We have 2 observatories, Palomar Observatory and Mount Laguna Observatory, whereas many states, many cities don't have any observatories. So here in San Diego, we've been particularly concerned about light pollution.
Light pollution is light that's not aimed where it needs to go. Instead of pointing on this walkway, this is a great example of how the light pointing up into the tree. That's useless light. That's a waste of energy. And it goes into the sky.
Astronauts up on the International Space Station send back pictures all the time of what they see from the space station. And city lights are clearly visible from outer space when we look back at the Earth. So that's the amount of light we're actually beaming out.
Astronomy is a nighttime thing. In these dark nights, they were just looking up and seeing so much. And now there's so many people that have never seen the Milky Way.
To eliminate light pollution, they started with the lamp shields. 360-degree globe-style streetlights out, top covered lights in.
All of those had at least 90% lower uplight than the existing lights that are out there. Some even 95% or more reduction of the uplight.
Another improvement is to use energy-efficient light bulbs. It will not only save $400,000 annually on city electricity bill, but also provide enough non-invasive light, allowing people to spend evenings safely without hindering star observations.
Did you know many visitors are drawn towards San Diego for its beautiful beaches with its Mediterranean climate, clean sand, and relaxed energy? It's no wonder that they are San Diego's treasure, and no wonder that San Diego natives are willing to do the small things to protect the natural beauty, even in places where you might not consider going green.
The 70-mile shoreline of San Diego has attracted millions of visitors from around the world. The renowned La Jolla Cove is a blue gemstone along the shoreline. The water, almost consistently at the range of 15 to 20 degrees Celsius, is a paradise for any surfer with a board.
I just really love it out there. I feel comfortable, I feel at home.
I love surfing. It is a little bit hard, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy.
Under the sun, the colorful boards decorate the ocean. Ironically, the surfboards that bring people on the waves is hurting Mother Nature simultaneously.
Traditionally, boards have been made of different materials that don't break down. Polyester, fiberglass, resin, those have been extremely environmentally toxic. And once the board is, say, broken in half, once it's been utilized, it just goes to the dumpster. And then what happens?
This is Izzy Tihani, the owner of Surf Diva. With her twin sister, they founded the first store in the world that provides surfing lessons to women here in La Jolla.
I grew up as a little fish out here and grew up surfing with my two sisters. Our dad taught us how to surf, and our mom used to boogie board as well. And I think I spent more time in the water than on dry land growing up.
In the 90s, Surf Diva led a movement that broke the stereotypical thinking that surfing is a male-only extreme sport. Now, they started pushing a campaign on environmentalism as this industry grows.
We very much try to keep our ocean clean because the ocean is pretty much our office. I'll show you a beautiful one. Come on over. It's a beautiful mermaid board. We like to say mermaid power makes you surf faster. So the mermaids are one with you when you're out surfing, and you feel like a mermaid. The boards are biodegradable instead of just filling up the landfills for hundreds of years. The only difference is it doesn't stay quite as white in the sun, but it rides just as well, if not better.
Most surf products out on the market today are generally environmentally unfriendly because of the chemicals used to produce them. Yet, Surf Diva has chosen to stick to carrying mostly organic products, such as biodegradable sunscreen lotions and eco-friendly wetsuits.
Surfers use surf wax on their board, and the surf wax prevents you from slipping. So now there's green wax that we can use that has less hydrocarbons, and it's made in a better, ecological, more friendly way.
Walking on the beach, it was obvious how much cleaner La Jolla is compared to other beaches. It's all thanks to these solar-powered trash bins. Collaborating with other merchants, Surf Diva has placed many solar-powered trash bins which compact the trash to reduce the trips needed to transport it and thus reduce carbon emissions.
This is the first trash can that was put in at La Jolla Shores, and now the city has gone with it, and now they're using these down at La Jolla Shores in mass. It's just so successful. Before we put in the solar trash cans, we had big blue trash cans that were open on the top. The seagulls would dive in when they saw any type of food wrapper, and they would tear it to pieces and spread trash all over the beach and all over the park. And the beach was really dirty, and the high tide would come, and the water would pull back all the trash, and it would just be floating in the lineup, in the waves. You don't want the trash in the bird's belly because they're going to get sick. One of the main reasons for pelicans dying off is they're finding 50 to 100 pieces of trash in the intestinal tract when they do the autopsies on the pelicans. So by eliminating the waste that's flowing into the ocean and the trash and the plastic bags, we're creating a much cleaner environment for the ecosystem and for ourselves.
Every the air, tens of thousands of students from all over the world come to Surf Diva to learn not only surfing techniques, but also the Diva's passion for the ocean.
When we're out in the water, it's really, really good. If we see a piece of trash, we can pick it up and just put it in the sleeve of our wetsuit, like that. I can keep surfing if I want. Why do you think we pull a piece of rubber balloon or a piece of wire?
Because the fish could chew on it and then maybe choke and if it wasn't good for them.
Right.
All these little steps add up. It's an ecological preserve and it's a sanctuary and it's one of the most beautiful places in the world and we want to keep it that way.
Did you know that Balboa Park is over 1,200 acres and over 100 years old? It's home to a series of famous and gorgeous gardens featuring plants from various climates, but caring for all these plants is no simple task. Let's see how they keep the park green in more ways than one.
Like a flock of ducklings, the tourists grouped around the knowledgeable park ranger, hanging on to all his exciting stories. This is a landmark of San Diego, where cultures meet, Balboa Park.
I've practically grown up in this park. I've worked as a ranger here for 17 years. I worked in museums for a dozen years before that, and I've been coming to the park since I was a little boy of about 5. So just about my entire life I've spent in this park. It happened back in 1915 with the naked ladies on the roof. That caused a little controversy.
We attract about 10 million visitors from all over the world each year, and they come to see our gardens, the civic space, the museums, the cultural organizations.
It was a plant that was only discovered to science in the early 1980s. A group was sent down into Mexico to try and find rare and exotic plants, and they actually found a plant that no one had ever described to science before. We have at least 1,300 species of trees alone, and probably upwards of 20 to 25,000 types of plants, and well over 1 million plants in general. In the old days, we would just turn on a hose or turn on a sprinkler and kind of let it go. Now we have things that are directed at specific plants, and again, we have a lot of things that are tied to weather stations we have in various parts of the park. So if we know it's going to rain for the next 5 weeks, a computer tells our sprinklers don't come on during that time, and that saves probably over the course of a year millions of gallons of water.
In Balboa Park, there are 13 gardens, more than 15 museums, hundreds of employees, and tens of millions of tourists here. As a result, the amount of energy and water required to sustain the park is immense.
And so in 2003, the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership formed to be really a collective voice and a collaborative body for those institutions to help them identify and implement sustainability best practices, energy efficiency projects, to really bring sustainability to the center of what Balboa Park is.
In fact, let's go over here. I'm going to show you Lily Pond that's outside of our botanical gardens here, our botanical building. Every day, 250,000 gallons would just drain out and we'd fill it back up. Well, we've decided that's not a particularly good use of water here, so if we put a biofiltration system, we don't have to constantly dump the water out of here. A lot of the children especially, this is their first contact with nature and outdoors and plant life, so I think it hopes and helps to set an example from a very early age to be an environmentalist, to care about your land and the area you live in, and this park really brings that home.
Different from the many tourist landmarks in the world, if you stand here in Green Balboa Park, you will realize a peaceful coexistence with Mother Nature that is beyond her beauty.
Did you know the San Diego museums are famous attractions throughout the world? When going to the museum, few people realize the amount of electricity going into preserving the collections and keeping the area comfortable for the visitors. But these museums are careful to keep their buildings environmentally friendly. Let's go behind the scenes to see how it's done.
Some people describe Balboa Park as a gigantic mall of a museum. There is no other place like her. A park with 15 museums that study anything from chocolates, fossils, to farts and burps.
No.
Drink that soda, Here it is. You want kids to learn early on, but they don't know
they're learning. They're just playing.
They put the mouth upside down and they put her eyes in upside down. If you spin them really fast, it looks like they're both smiling.
And science centers often refer to that as the aha moment. So, aha, the sun is there and we're moving around the sun. But every person, particularly every child, should be making discoveries as they go through life. It has much more impact and a longer impression.
Every year, the Balboa Park gets millions of visitors. It is crucial to provide a comfortable environment and manage the operational costs. This is when a lot of science comes into play. Let's go to the less tourist-traveled corner to see the Applied Sciences exhibition.
We installed waterless urinals a few years ago, and it's estimated for them to save up to 45,000 gallons of water a year.
The second stop is the rooftop of the museum. Scientifically proven, the sunshine of San Diego is cozy and free for use.
We're making about 62,000 watts of electricity right now. If there's a little bit of cloud coverage in the area, we generate more electricity. What happens is the sun bounces off the panels, reflects off the clouds and back down, and so it does a double hit on the panels, and it picks up more of that UV lighting and creates more electricity that way.
The energy generated by these solar panels is about 20 to 30% of a museum's consumption.
So the fact that they're museums and they are a drain of resources. Whenever you go and experience a museum, you're just there to look at maybe a piece of artwork or to learn something, but you're not always thinking, okay, well, I have to be comfortable in my temperature. And then the artifacts have to be preserved.
We have 7.3 million research specimens in the museum. They're all different. Some are birds and mammals with feathers and skin. We have insects. We have rocks and fossils and minerals. And they all have their own separate environmental requirements. We have things in our collections that no longer exist anywhere in the world. Those are so priceless that we have to run the air conditioning all the time, 24 hours a day.
Air conditioning ranks as the museum's top electricity consumption. So the answer to saving energy and cost lies here.
Your air conditioning requires chilled water. That's where most of your energy comes in. This is a turbo core. The compressors don't run on bearings. They're floating in oil, so they reduce the amount of heat that the motors create, which also creates more chilled water. 50% more efficient than the old McQuaid machine that used to be there. It's literally saving us 50% in energy of what we used to have.
Another method is to reduce the heat production in the museum. They approach this from the lighting systems in the exhibits. Again, we come to somewhere not a lot of people notice, where great wisdom lies.
This is the lighting stockroom for the San Diego Naturalist Museum, and this is all of our exhibit lighting. They can create a theatrical mood. We can have theatrical lighting to help create an immersive experience for the visitor, so we can take the visitor to another place, another time period, or another habitat. See, as this one has a blue ring. There's a blue halo. So the colors are not as rich. It doesn't render warm, orange, yellow. The big advantage over with the LED lighting over the halogen is these run very cool.
Moving on past Balboa Park, there are 15 museums which were once notorious for consuming a lot of energy. Yet, each of the facilities have been LEED certified as an energy-saving building.
We were able to then use incentives and rebates, 0% interest loans. We're saving about $1 million each year. So that money then goes back into the institutions to maybe bring a school that can't afford to come to one of these institutions and bring a higher exhibit to the park. And it brings all these different things because we are saving the institutions money through their utility bills.
Balboa Park museums display how to integrate all the separate logistics of environmental protection into a functioning whole. But the green movement isn't only about a series of actions or of buildings. The World Beat Cultural Center integrates the green movement, a philosophy of renewal and of growth, into traditional cultures, dance, and food.
The sound of the drums can be heard coming from the circular building. This is the place to be if you want to see the lively third world culture in San Diego.
We've been here for about 20 years. This was an empty water tower, and what we did is transform the water tower into a community center. You see Bob Marley, you see Haile Selassie, you see Africa. You see something that is about culture.
An abandoned reservoir was revived as an eco-friendly building.
We utilize solar tubes that bring in the light and during peak hours, so that's a really good technology. The LEED certification doesn't always promote the most the effect that our employees and the effect that our staff and that the community have in making this a green space.
Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free.
Diverse communities from all over the world, Hispanics, African Americans, Caucasians, and Asians have gathered here.
Space, free.
It's not about saving money. It's not about, being the new style. Green is really about healing ourselves and healing our communities. It's about celebrating each other's culture, where we come from, and really expressing it.
Right next to this cultural hub, along a busy street, is a rare little oasis in the city, an organic garden.
Here's our worms. I'm going to introduce you to our worm factory. There's your worms. This is the worm casting. This is called black gold. It saves plants, it grows fast. This place was abandoned, and it had drug addicts and needles and bottles, and we transformed this into a really beautiful space. And I think it inspired them, and some of them have came back to work with us.
But yeah, the dirt, I love the dirt. If you give to the earth, who's gonna give you back? She's gonna protect you, she's gonna give you food, oxygen, she's gonna give you everything you need.
And these are the moringa pods. These are the seed pods. This is our sugar cane we grow. Take the seeds and we save them and we plant them. When you adapt a plant-based diet and you learn how to grow your own food, you start eating better. My herbs come out of the garden too. No matter how much money your country makes, the people are going to be very ill if they don't have a purpose and if they don't eat right food. And the earth, the Mother Earth will take all your suffering. It takes it in. It's natural. It's our mother.
In rethinking the concept of waste and trash, World Beat Centers rethinks the value of communities which might have been just as undervalued. Living with environmental consciousness is not only good for our planet, but good for our bodies and soul. We are all part of one family. I'm Ralph Walker. I've been your host. Join me next time for another exciting journey.